Dear traveller, and welcome. Today we are looking at the formidable and forgettable Sony, what's it called? It's called the Sony DSC F505V. That's right, if you know your Sony line, then you know that this was a very controversial camera when it came out. Very controversial. Why? Because on the stickers advertising on this camera, it says it's a 3.3 megapixel CCD camera. However, when you look just below that, the effective pixels are 2.6 megapixel. So on the one sticker, it's telling you that, yeah, the sensor's 3.3, but you ain't only getting 2.6 out of this bad boy. So that's what made this one a bit of a conundrum and a half. And of course, this is loaded with the Carl Zeiss Vario sonar lens, which is obviously one of Zeiss's best pieces of glass they've ever made. So that's why we're looking at this one today. It's a blast from the past. This camera's been referred to as RoboCop's dingus. This really is an amazing piece of tech from our friends at Sony. Now, you know Sony, they're innovators. They're always trying something different. These guys don't stop. They don't quit. Hey, do you want to get into cameras? Sure. Have we ever made a camera? Never. Don't stop us. Let's go for it. And let's be the best there possibly ever was. That's the thing with Sony. They're always striving to be the best in whatever market they compete in. And you know what? Hats off them for that. Hats off them for that. Another key feature of these old Sony cameras, if you don't know about it, is that these cameras are loaded with the Sony memory sticks, also known as the Magic Gate. That's right, these are their own priority memory sticks. In a world where priority stuff is very hard to do, here's Sony reinventing the wheel yet again. Good on you, Sony. Good on you for giving it a shot. We hate them, but you know what? When you see those little weird blue-purple, yeah, it's kind of like a bluey-purple colour, these blue-purple Sony memory sticks, they just bring nostalgia back. Big vibes, makes you think of like the old Sony products from the 90s, which I think is just Sony's like most experimental time, you know. But let's not get wrong, they're still very experimental to this very day. So they are one of the most experimental companies ever, and hats off them to that. This one here's got this, you know, floppy lens body design where you can you know, adjust the angle of the dangle and be able to shoot at all different kinds of ways, and that's just great. That's just fantastic. I really like the design of this thing, and it's got some pretty amazing features for the time. And this is the great thing, I don't need to pull up a tab to tell you the features about this camera. All the stickers on the sides tell you every single feature this camera has, and I just love it. So let's go through the stickers now. So of course, like I said, you've got the 3.3 megapixel CCD sensor, which only has a 2.6 effective megapixels. But of course, as you would imagine, the 3.3 is written in bold print, and the 2.6 is like a little bit of a subtext underneath. You're probably wondering to yourself, what's the image size of that? Luckily, there's a sticker for that too. 1896 pixels by 1392 pixels. Now you have it, now you know. This camera shoots MPEG movie high quality. So MPEG movies, hopefully I can show you some of these movies on here. It's a bit difficult to get them over, and I'm not sure if I've got a player that can play it, but let's see what we can do. This camera is also loaded with a 10 times precision digital zoom. That's right, it's got a 10 times zoom on it. It's pretty decent, that's why it's a sonar. And you're thinking, what's the specs on that sonar? Well, it's as wide open as 2.8. That's pretty decent, right? For a nice little lens there. And it's 2.8 to 7.1. I don't know, some of the numbers don't make sense. It's a cyber shot, you know that. It's got a macro function. You've got autofocus and manual focus if you want, fly-by-wire manual focus on this bad boy. It's also got a nice peppy little flash. That's right. You hear that? That's the flash opening up. It's got a peppy little flash on it, and I kind of like it. I think it's really cool. And if that flash isn't enough, it's got an external flash terminal. That's right, that's a sticker. It's got an external flash terminal. So that's just, you know, if that flash isn't enough, let's go to the next level. Does it have a flash shoe? Does it have a hot shoe? Nope, doesn't have a hot shoe. Doesn't have a hot shoe at all. But Sony being Sony, I bet you there's some attachment. There's some screw-in, you know, absolutely horrendous looking thing that can just screw in and get you a flash kind of holder there. So that's awesome, right? Probably has its own priority Sony flashes too. That would make sense. What else we got? We have got a stamina battery life of Oh, it's getting hard to read this now. Apparently you can take 1,300 shots with a fully charged battery. Now I'm going to tell you, with my particular battery, I can take about 5 shots and the thing dies. That's what I'm looking at. But considering how much I paid for it, I'm really happy. And let me tell you how much I paid for it later in this video, because that's an interesting story behind that. So let's go and have a look at that later. Is there anything else? It's got a hybrid LCD. And I honestly, all jokes aside, I love this LCD because it's backlit, or you can switch the backlight off, which gives you this really strange analog feel. It's like you're looking at a calculator. It's absolutely immaculate. I completely love it. And that way it can help you save battery life. Good on you, Sony. Always thinking about the user, the end user. Good job. Really simple controls, really easy place to go from movies to still images to playing back footage you've already taken, things like that. Awesome flash built in. Yeah, it's just really well put together, to be honest with you. It feels solid for a plastic camera. You know, it still feels rugged and solid. To this day, it still feels cool. Like, it's a cool camera. I'm not gonna lie, it's a cool camera. Now, with that all said, let's take a breath, change gears. Why are we talking about this camera? How much did I pay for it? And why would you want to get yourself one? They're probably some good questions to start from. Okay, why we're talking about this camera? Because I've got one. That's why we're talking about it. We're talking about it because I've got one. And digicams, as you know, they're starting to take off. And I think even more so now that film prices are just getting absolutely ridiculous. So people are looking for other options, okay? And if you can have some fun with an old digicam, get some old digi vibes, go for it. Just have fun, you know, especially if you get it for nothing. That's why we're talking about this one. Now, Sony stuff I've always been interested in because, like I said, they're always at the forefront of trying new things and trying to beat other companies in areas that, like, they haven't even dreamed of. Like, these guys, Sony are the dream weavers, right? And I had a few other Sony cameras similar to this that didn't work, unfortunately. I really wish they did, but they didn't work. Because I bought these rare earth magnets that apparently cuts the IR filter off them, and you can take some amazing infrared images with those cameras, but this one doesn't have it, so that's a bit of a shame, but oh well. Fantastic camera. Now, how much did I pay for it? Great question. And this is going to sort of play out throughout this video because I just want to share these stories, because at the end of the day I'm a storyteller, and I just want to share a journey with you, hence the welcome travelers. Okay, I'm just sharing some travels with you. So while you're doing whatever you're doing, just have a listen to these stories. Now, how much should I pay for this? I paid a big fat $0. I paid a big fat $0. Wow, how did you do it, Shutter Slaps? How did you get this for nothing? Okay. Now, the thing is with me is I'm always looking for opportunities. I'm a man of opportunity, okay? And when that opportunity come a knocking, you better believe I'm opening that door, okay? Now, I have a few different hobbies. Now, one hobby is I like thrift stores, op shops, whatever you want to call them. No judgment. And I like thrift stores and things like that. And something else that I like that I don't tell many people about, so kind of keep this between me and you, is that I like sometimes also like council throwout, right? I don't mind a good council throwout, you know, and I'm not saying I'm going to all of them, but if I see a few items that sort of, you know, pique my interest, you know, I'll go have a little bit of a wonder. I'll have a little look. What's one am I hurting anybody having a bit of a look, right? So I saw this big council throwout, and then I noticed this guy had like laptop bags and like floppy disks and all kind of electrical stuff like sitting on the front of his Verge, and it was all really neatly packed, and I thought, man, there's got to be something in here. Lo and behold, what do I find? This little pouch. And in the pouch is this Sony camera, mint condition. Like, this thing is literally like museum condition, right? It's fantastic. It's got a memory stick inside, and a charger, and a battery, all ready to go. Like, that's a no-brainer, okay? That's a no-brainer. Yeah, I'm taking that. Yeah, I'm taking that, right? I ain't dumpster diving, but if I see a nice, cleanly packed camera sitting on someone's Verge that they're throwing out and getting rid of, yeah, I'm taking that, right? Every day. So I picked this bad boy up. Now, this takes me to the next. Actually, no, I won't start on that conversation just yet. Maybe a bit later, after photos, right? But there's more to this story, okay? But yeah, so I found this one chucked out, and that's something for you guys to think about, because you know what I'd do if I was you? and I do, you know what I do, and you should do that I do, is go on Facebook or whatever in your local community. Go on your local community pages and just put out a little comment. Say, hey guys, anyone got some old computers, old cameras that they're getting rid of that they don't use anymore? Happy to take them. You know, because you'd be surprised. A lot of people just chuck this stuff out. They don't give a junk about it, right? To them, it's just junk. And you give it new life. Do that. You know, you can score cameras. You can score stuff. Make friends. Do it. You know, why the hell not? Obviously, be safe. Don't go to someone's house if things feel a bit dodgy, a bit off. You know, let's be safe here. It is 2023. Image quality of this thing. Image quality. The lens is actually really good. If you give this camera enough light, it can produce some pretty decent images. The lens, I can tell, is a decent lens. Like, it really is it's a nice lens. Considering the age, the price point, everything. It's actually a decent lens. It's a decent sensor. It is 2.6 megapixels. So I kind of feel like this is really pushing, you know, the hashtag no bad cameras? Well, I think this is really pushing the limits on that, okay? This is hashtag kind of a bad camera, but not a bad camera. Like, don't get me wrong, its usability is fantastic, functionality fantastic, image quality, it's a 2.6 megapixel, right? It's getting pretty low, right? I can shoot with 4 megapixels and get some good images. 2.6 is you're starting to notice it. However, it's all about application and what you're doing with it. Yes, I would not use this camera to shoot, you know, a wedding or you know, some really, you know, some images that I'm going to blow up. No way in hell. But don't be scared off by 2.6 megapixels because it gives you that Sony digital vibe. Rant time to jump in. Let's jump off into a rant now, okay, guys? What am I talking about? The Sony digital vibes. Now, something I've noticed, correct me if I'm wrong, hit me up in the comments, tell me if you've noticed the same thing. The difference between Sony cameras, early digital cameras, things of this kind of ilk, you know, of this kind of year, the funny thing I notice about Sony digital cameras, which I don't notice on any other camera manufacturer, is that whenever I take an image with a Sony digital camera from this age group, it doesn't feel like a photo. It doesn't feel like a photo. When I take a photo with Sony cameras, it feels like a digital video that's been like frozen. Like you've just hit the pause button on an old VCR or something. It's got this funny kind of furriness to it, which makes you feel like it's not actually a still image. It's actually a video image that's just, they've snipped it, you know, they've snipped one frame out of a video image. That's what it feels like. And that's a pretty cool vibe. That's a pretty cool little, you know, different way of looking at photos and a different way of looking at sort of a vibe of photo. So I really like that. I think that looks really cool, having this kind of video, frozen video look to it. Reminds me of like when your digital was just coming in. To me, that gives a really cool vibe. I love this frozen image kind of vibe. Frozen stills from a video camera vibe. Go Sony, man. And do you know the story of Sony? Do you know they came from like one of the first companies to make a wireless radio, transistor radio, and that's kind of their claim to fame. And they built off that, and they tried heaps of stuff to try and be that sort of forefront of technology. And that's what they've done. Like, I don't love everything they've made, but there's some cool stuff. You know, PlayStation 1, oof. PlayStation 2, oof. Sony like sound systems they made. Obviously the Walkman. You know, they really have always been at the forefront. Sony, like, mini disc players. Remember that? Mini disc? How sick was that? Yeah, so go Sony. Go Sony. Alright, let's check out some images now. Realize these are straight out of camera, no editing. Let me know what you think, and I'll catch you on the other side. not bad. Some decent images there. Some decent images from a little 3 megapixel camera. I had you wondering, yeah, like you didn't know what to expect, but bam, there you go. Let me know what you think about the images. Have you used these cameras before? What do you think about that? Do you love the Sony jabronis? What do you think? Hit me up in the comments. Do you have something similar to this? Would you recommend any kind of Sony cameras? Let me know what you think, guys. And as always, I will be catching you on that there next one. Oh, that's right, I almost forgot. Wanted to chat and rant about something a bit different, a bit off the wall. Now this one's a little bit obscure, guys, and this one's a little bit, I don't know. I feel like we're charting uncharted waters. Does that make sense? We're travelling into uncharted waters. I feel like that's where we're headed with this one. Now, the interesting thing here is I got this camera obviously for free, thrown into a junkyard. Had a memory stick in it already, right? So what are you thinking? What was on that memory stick? What was on it? And the answer is yeah. There's some stuff on that memory stick. There's some images of the family that had it before, and you know, it just blows my mind. And please understand, this isn't me trying to, you know, look into another private family and to exploit other people's privacy. It's nothing like that. It's just fascinating to see some of these old images and to think that it's kind of been lost in time, that this family's, you know, thrown out cameras, thrown out stuff. Their lives have moved on, but somewhere in the universe there's a memory stick with photos, and who knows what memory sticks we've all thrown out. And we've had images and information that we've just thrown to the curb. You wonder where it is now. Has it been forgotten, lost in time, or is someone out there massing these things together and having a huge folder full of lost memories? And it's kind of a crazy thought, right? So this camera here had a memory stick in it, and it had a few images in it, and you know, you could see it's a family, and the fun thing was trying to figure out what time and when were those photos taken, where were they taken, just to try and get a snippet of this alternate reality. Well, I guess it's not an alternate reality, but it's an alternate life, an alternate family that have lived and experienced life at the same time we were, but just in a different location through a different set of eyes. And I think that's really amazing, and I have no doubt that there's probably Instagram, Facebook pages, people dedicating pages to these lost images and lost photos, and that's kind of remarkable in itself. Obviously, it's very sensitive territory and you wouldn't want to exploit other people's information, but as long as you've got a clear, you know, guide that you're just purely looking at these things for nostalgic purposes and protecting other people's privacy, I think it's quite interesting. It's definitely quite interesting. So yeah, tell me what you think about that. Have you ever had an experience? Have you found an old memory card, SD card or something, and found some old images that just blew your mind? I suppose it's similar to if you find an old roll of film that's undeveloped in an old film camera, and then you develop it and you find that, wow, it's these family shots. Like, isn't that mind-blowing? Isn't that crazy to think? Well, I think it is anyway. So let me know what you think. Guys, it's always an adventure when you got a camera in your hand. I'll be catching you on that next one.